How's it guys, Munash here, and today we have the 11th war of season 38. Yes, I know, 2 war videos for 1 season, I know it's crazy, but I've always said it's usually just a matter of time, as in me not having time to make videos consistently, but this month is gonna be a little bit different, so looking forward to it. But anyway, we have the 11th war of season 38 up against Jedi Assassins. And they decided to ban CGR, Hercules, and Apocalypse, which is kind of expected. I think those have been the 3 most common bans this season. It's amazing how Apocalypse is one of the most banned champs, yet he's never blacklisted, which means he's never whitelisted. So he keeps getting banned and it feels like you never get to use him. It's like he's always the 3rd most banned champ or something. But anyway, this is the war where I got to use rank 4 Omega Sentinel and the Hood. I actually joined with them at rank 3 and then I ranked them up just before fighting. So first up on part 5 we have Hulkling with Ebb and Flow Knockdown, Right Back at It, and Force of Will. A fairly common placement nowadays. I've taken this fight a bunch of times with Hood and it always goes really well. This was actually my sloppiest fight I've ever done, yet it was rank 4 for the first time, so yeah, that was a bit funny. Just because I didn't quite play it perfectly towards the end. But usually it's just a very simple fight because Hood doesn't actually rely on debuffs, so he doesn't have to worry about Right Back at It. So I drop my special 2, knock him down, get a Fury to do more damage. So now I'm gonna knock him down after the protection comes back, get another Fury, and here's the mistake I made. I went in hoping I could actually knock him down with the heavy attack, but he drops a special 1, and I triggered 2 misses, so now it's not actually safe for me because I already got my 100% chance removed. So now I use a special 1 to knock him down, which doesn't give me invisibility like the special 2. So I was hoping to just parry and bait a heavy and then drop my own heavy, but I nullify an unblockable so it goes passive, so I take a few unblockable hits, which is a little bit annoying, but fortunately it did not do too much damage. But the funny thing is, I didn't even need to drop a heavy attack, his health was already pretty low, so the hexes expiring was enough to take him out. Alright, now moving on, we have Immortal Hulk with Ebb and Flow Knockdown and Heavy Hitter. And this is going to be the first Omega Sentinel fight because she has a heal block debuff, which is very easy to apply and maintain. So that just makes countering Conduit a lot easier, which is the main annoying thing about this fight, it's just Conduit really. Otherwise it's a pretty basic Immortal Hulk fight with Heavy Hitter, you know, which you don't really need to worry about since you don't have to bait a heavy attack or anything like that. So I applied the heal block, which I don't actually need to do just yet, but I might as well because, you know, willpower healing is something. And that is the only non-damaging debuff I need to use for this fight, well, besides parry stuns of course. And the cool thing is, when I drop my special 2, it will knock him down and then trigger the damaging debuffs, and I already had 3 heal block debuffs on him, so I get the max amount of incinerates from a special 2, and it's doing some pretty solid damage with the knockdown Fury, and he can't gain any health as long as I can keep at least 1 heal block on, which is pretty easy to do. The only slightly annoying thing about this fight is protection will come back, which means he will purify all debuffs, so you can't just have to start again, like the fight has been reset. But you deal a decent amount of damage in 1 special 2 cycle, like I did about 50%, so you really just need 2 or 3 special 2s for this fight, or 2 special 2s and a special 1 to finish this fight off. I could get more damage out of the special 2 if I were to knock him down with the heavy attack first, remove protection, get the passive Fury, but then I'd get less uptime on incinerates, and more importantly I'd have to drop another 2 heavy attacks to be able to apply heal blocks again. And that would just make the fight a little bit more complicated and less safe, I guess. And he did not trigger immortality, so he went down relatively quickly. So a pretty comfortable fight with Omega Sentinel. And now we're gonna move on to our first Spidey fight, which is gonna be Wong with Power Snack, which Spidey is immune to. 1 too many hits, which just gives you power stings, but they're very weak, so you can pretty much ignore them. And Prowess Buildup Unblockable, which doesn't matter since Wong doesn't get any prowesses. So it's practically a Wong with no nodes, so the only thing I'm going to do slightly differently in this fight is I'm going to bait a special 1, and then wait for his spell to expire before I drop my special 2. Otherwise he will purify my Wither debuff, and I didn't bring anti-venom so I don't start with Wither. But not really an issue, I just need to be a bit more patient, and I can actually do this fight without a Wither. But I don't really want to, because then it's just I don't know, I just don't want to fight Wong like a normal champ, I want to do it the Spidey style. It's very rare that I actually bring this champ to war, so I might as well do it properly. Also, the playstyle of simply just hitting block and dexing every couple of seconds is generally easier and safer. Less specials to bait, less block damage, and I don't actually need to use any more special attacks. Although towards the end of the fight he was getting a little bit annoying in terms of AI behavior. Although I was also getting a little bit too patient with him, like I could have ended the fight a bit sooner. Probably should have just dropped full combos and another special too, but I was trying to just maintain the wither. Yet he was keep on coming at me while I was trying to bait block. I think I just underestimate Spidey's damage sometimes. Like, contrary to what some might say, it's not that bad. Like, he's not a world beater in Battlegrounds or anything, but this is not even like a crazy health pool fight, 190k roughly. But Wong wasn't too bad, and now on Path 5 in Section 2 we have Domino with Ebb and Flow Intercept and Sadist. Now usually I would use Guardian for this fight, otherwise I'd probably just use Nimrod since passive shocks just destroy. But Omega Sentinel is effective enough, and she's just so much better for the Immortal Hulk I had in Section 1. Now this fight is gonna be somewhat similar to the Immortal Hulk fight, except here I had to intercept before I drop the special 2. And also it is Domino who can evade, and I can't always just parry stun her non-contact hits, so I just gotta watch out for that. And that does make it a little bit difficult to apply some of those non-damaging debuffs, though they aren't really needed for this fight, although I could have gone with Heal Block just to reduce the healing from willpower. But I mean, the main thing here that they're doing is just allowing me to apply those Incinerates with the special 2. And in this fight my special 2 hits will be doing more damage since I am intercepting before dropping it. I'm just not getting as many Incinerates off of it. And I am getting a little bit of power back with the tech boost, but my special 2 crit RNG was not very good in this fight. Like, I think I only had 1 hit crit on each special 2, which is a little bit annoying. Like, the fight could actually be much faster with better crit RNG, but that's how it goes sometimes. And also I'm realizing now that heal blocking the fight also would have made it a bit faster. Like, all that healing from willpower does add up. I just figured I can probably leave it at cowardice, cause if I do get hit by a special attack, it would do a little bit less damage at least. But it's not like a massive reduction, and this fight is going pretty well, so yeah, I think I should use heal block in future. So protection comes back once again, but I just need to drop one more combo, and yeah, that's all she wrote. So now we have one more Spidey fight, which is gonna be against Spider-Man Supreme with Ebb and Flow Intercept and Mighty Charge. So now Spidey 99 makes this fight very simple because he's immune to buffs, and Mystic Spidey's whole thing is giving you buffs, so if you can't do that, he can't trigger the miss, and that just makes the fight very straightforward. All I need to do is hit him and don't get hit until he goes down. That is pretty much it. I will be intercepting for more damage, especially before I drop my special 2. Even though he will purify the wither and any ruptures, it can still do a decent chunk of damage just from the hits with the passive fury. And I actually forgot that Wong had 2 bars of power when I took him out, so Spidey Supreme did get a burst of power at the start of the fight. But not a big problem, just gotta bait some special attacks. And you can block the special 1. You only really want to fully dex the special 2, or at least the last 3 hits, because they can do some pretty annoying damage through your block. But it's not that difficult once you've practiced a few times. And now I get the passive fury intercept, drop my special 2, which does do additional burst damage for the amount of unique debuffs you have on them. And the nice thing is the wither gets applied on activation of the special attack, so that counts as a debuff for the special 2 burst. So a pretty simple fight with Spidey, and now we're gonna move on to Section 3 for some mini-bosses, where we first have a King Groot with Recovery, Safeguard, Indomitable, and Vigorous Assault. Pretty good fight with Hood. I've taken this fight a bunch of times with my rank 3. So the Hood is really good here for a couple of reasons. First of all, buffs. King Groot gets a lot of Fury buffs, which just feeds Dispersion and gives you more bullets. It can actually be a little bit too much with max MD, and that's the one slight mistake I made, I guess, for preparing for this fight, because I usually drop MD to level 3 or 4 for it, because sometimes when those Fury buffs expire you just get to special 3 very quickly, which just slows the fight down a little bit because you ideally want to stick to special 2. But today it kinda just slipped my mind because I was taking all my fights from Section 1 to Section 3 in one go, because Tender Chris Bacon and I decided that we can actually clear all our fights in about 15 minutes because he was on part 4. So he took down 19 and 39, I took down 25, and then we shared the right mini-bosses. So I just forgot that slight mastery change, but overall not a big deal, it didn't make that much of a difference. The fight was pretty similar to what my rank 3 would do, so I was never concerned about timing out. I was just getting the fight done comfortably in under 2 minutes. So in this fight I am gonna drop 2 special 3s. Like here, I still don't have a Fate Seal, and he is gonna get 10 Fury buffs, and I do have 1 stagger which will remove all of them. So I probably would still shoot up to 3 bars with level 4 MD. But the nice thing about this fight is it can actually be done without a special 2. You just need to keep building the hexes and drop a heavy attack when you have a good amount. And you pretty much have an endless supply of buffs to get more bullets, as long as you keep staggering those Fury buffs. The only time I've seen this fight get somewhat annoying was when one time I was just being super passive with these special attacks, so my hexes ended up expiring, so the fight took a little bit longer than usual. But still, it was still a very straightforward fight in terms of just building up the hexes and then detonating the next set. The only major difference was the fight took about an extra minute. So I finally got to drop another special 2, beta special 1, good amount of hexes now, so parry heavy, and 200k burst damage, which of course bypasses safeguard. And the final fight for this war is gonna be Omega Sentinel against Kitty Pryde with Stunning Reflection, Polka Dot Power, and Stun Vulnerability. So Kitty Pryde is immune to Incinerate, however Omega Sentinel applies Plasma debuffs instead of Incinerate to Mutant Gems. But the funny thing about this fight is, I never triggered a single Plasma debuff because I just could not place more than 3 Cowardice. Cowardices? Cowardie? Yeah, I just could not place 3 of those debuffs that remove her prowesses. But that is why Omega Sentinel still works pretty well for this fight, just because she can shut down Kitty's prowesses very easily, and her damage at rank 4 boosted is good enough to finish this fight without any special attacks, just basic hits, in about 90 seconds, without suicides. So I could have done this fight a little bit faster, but I just didn't quite play it right because at the first half I was still trying to just stack those cowardices to actually get a plasma debuff on her, took a polka dot, and then drop a special 2 eventually. I think my mistake was not pausing after placing 1 debuff, instead I was trying to do too many consecutive medium combos. But yeah, ultimately you don't need to drop any special attacks for this fight and it's still not that bad at all. Just don't parry, like that's pretty much it. You can parry your special attacks though, which for me is kind of a habit because I usually use Guardian against her. So not a bad fight with OS and a pretty fun war. I must admit it was quite nice to get all my fights done in like 15 minutes. And this was about 4 hours after the war started, so I got to chill for the next day pretty much and just, watch everyone else clear up the map. Unfortunately, we did lose this war. To be honest, we kind of dropped the ball. In fact, we were given so many balls and we just dropped them all. It just wasn't our day, which is a bit unfortunate because if we won this war, we could have finished 3rd this season. But anyway, I'll probably talk more about the season as a whole in tomorrow's crystal opening video. So that's gonna be it for this one. I hope you guys found this interesting, and as always, thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you soon.